Okay, so welcome to our very first webinar for Rapido. I'm really glad you made it. Good afternoon to you all. We'll be recording this session, so for all of you that couldn't make it or want to re-see it again, this will be published on the website, the Educational Webinars website. And you will be able to find it there or on demand, or give it to your colleagues that couldn't make it today. So I know I'm seeing the people that are joining us here. Many of you I know, you were part of our development partner program or early adapters program for Rapido. And I also am seeing some people that I don't know, which is really great. So welcome. And the idea was really to make sure that this conversation about Rapido would be available for you all. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen, and we'll formally start the presentation. And I hope that we have time for questions, and there's the chat and Q&A, and I need to manage this format, this new format. So I hope I can give all of you the attention you need. Okay. First, let's start. I hope you guys are seeing my screen. So I'd appreciate if you could just send me in the chat that you're seeing my screen, one of you, and then I'll know that we're okay. Yes, thank you, Petra. Okay, so we're going to start having these meetings, these webinars on a monthly basis. So I encourage you to register also through that page. And we will be covering different aspects of Rapido as we every month. For today, what I want to cover is I want to give you a short update of what's happening with the Rapido community. And also, I want to go with you through the Rapido February release. It's a very packed release with tons of functionality. And if we have time, I hope that in every meeting we can talk about a short topic, things that we've learned with our community that is growing. So maybe a little tip or something. I really hope the February release is very packed. So I hope we have time for that. And we'll try to every time cover something a little bit different. So let's start with the Rapido community. It's really amazing, the momentum for Rapido. This last month, we have 4 new live customers in North America, very big customers, which is really amazing. The US pod is live, and customers are joining this pod, and hopefully we'll see a list of many more pods being added, and I know that the Australian community is also growing, so we have new customers, many customers in implementation. We have around 90 institutions that are in the process of either live or in the process of implementing Rapido, which is really amazing what has happened over the years. So it's really wonderful for me to open this first webinar this January, February with the news of seeing the Rapido community growing. In the past, we used to have monthly meetings with our early adapters and development partners, and it was conversational mode. We discussed topics. So we are currently on the process of opening the Rapido user group. The steering committees of Igloo and Eluna have appointed someone to lead this group. So you'll soon be able to, you'll get probably a request to who wants to participate. And of course, we'll continue to have those discussions that we used to have in that format. So please stay tuned. And if you want to participate in this type of work, we'd love to have you there. Okay, let's move to the Rapido February release. And I want to start with something with the patron experience. So as you know, one very, very, very important aspect of Rapido is how our users are experiencing from discovery the service. So one of the things that we've done over the past year, and will continue to do, is fine-tune that experience of the user with the Rapido offers, with the different Rapido tiles. So with this release, we bring you two different developments in this area. One is related to the music scores, and the second one is related to a particular type of linking method in resources. So we'll start with the first one. The first one is the music scores. What we had in the past is that for a particular resource of type music score, you could, the offer that was displayed for physical was correctly displayed in the sense that you could ask for a resource to be sent physically, as in many, many cases. But the document delivery option was the option for article, was treated as an article. So you couldn't actually be able to select specific dedicated fields for music scores. As you will see when I present this development, this is more than just creating a form. It has a lot of impact. So it wasn't really like something you could call a bug. Okay, we'll talk about it when we go. And the second one is the linking record. So there are mainly two linking mechanisms for resources in general in discovery. One is through the link resolver, and the second one is the linking record. And also here we had a particular way of displaying the Rapido offers, and we're changing that with this release as well. So give me a second. I just want to do something little just to see. Oh, I think I'm messing with the video. I want to see that have like a little Q&A thing just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Okay, sorry. So let's start now with the music scores. Okay. So what you can see here is that this is a particular resource with type scores. So we're talking about those resources that are clearly marked as scores. And this is the Rapido offer. So you can still get this particular Sibelius complete book physically, the scores physically, and you have the option to get the digital copy. So as I mentioned in the past, what you would have would be like the regular digital, get a digital copy for me, but you couldn't specify any type of information. So what we have now here is that you can specify from page to page. You can specify the composer, the opus, the song movement, the part, and the note, and of course still the other requirements for any type of document delivery are still happening here. So this is a new form, and which in terms of our users is really giving them the possibility to place exactly what the borrowing request with the information they need. As you know, as we make this information more exact, this also will ensure that the patron will receive a better service. And also, it will ensure that in terms of borrowing, there is no need for mediation from your side. And also in terms of lending, the information will come in and with exact information so that the lender can provide it. In terms of how this is further supported with this release, the customer will be able to see the information he placed under the patron card. So this is the request as shown in the patron card, and you can see here that he'll be able to see the information he added to the form. He will receive this information in the letter as well. So be aware of this addition of these components to the letter, the confirmation letter. And of course, you will be able to see this from the borrowing side. So what we're seeing now is this very specific request from the borrowing side. And also you can edit the information. Also, if you go to edit or you go from here, if this was mediated and you want to update it, you can always update the information. So I'm really happy that this development has come out, and we will continue to fine tune with other format types. I think that the next one that we want to do, well, we'll talk about this a little bit later because I want to finish the music score, so I'm jumping. So a very important thing, what you're seeing here now, let's finish this up. I'm seeing here the lending request. You can see here from the lending request that we don't have the same fields that we had before. All of the information is actually going into the chapter title. So you can see here, but it's translated into the lending with the information as in the form. So we have the composer and we have the song and the opus, etc. And I want to explain why the lending is seeing this differently. The lending side is receiving this differently because actually the standards of ILL don't support this specific breakout, so specific breakout. So there is no way we could pass that message in keeping up with the standard. So I want to break it into the story, right? So first is the user being able to place the right information, the borrowing library being able to see what was placed by the borrower, and the lender, from the lender's perspective, we're passing the information as the standard requires, but making it very clear for them to see what actually was required. So we'll be passing this into the chapter title field, but it will be passed with all of the information that the requester has actually inputted. So just for you guys to have it clear in the sense that what the lender is seeing is a little bit different than what the borrowing is seeing, and this is due to the standards. Okay, this is, I wanted to go into the edit mode of the request, and you can see it, you can see it here as well. So of course, all of the information is translated into the fields inside the edit mode as well. Regarding configuration and the form, you know, we have in Rapido, we have the possibility to decide which fields are displayed in the forms for requesting, and which we're trying to make this as easy as possible. So there is only one, only form to do this, both for digital, both for books, and the fields that we've added with this development appear here. You have the composer, and you have the opus, and you have the part. So if you don't want to have them enabled, you can always disable them. And of course, you can also change the description and everything throughout this. Okay, so I'm going to leave the questions to the end so that we can run here through the presentation. So once we finish the February release, I'll stop and we can go back to see if there are questions. As I said, another development that we did for this release is related to offers. What you have here is the linking record. So the linking record mechanism is a mechanism where the link itself to the resource comes in the record, and in general, what you will have in discovery is still an indication that this has a this can be available online, or you can get it where you can get the full text or full text available, however you configure this label. And what we were seeing is that still the patron was receiving the offer for to place a request, even though he actually doesn't need to place a request because you have acquired this, and he can just go and get it now by himself. So what we did in this development is that there was actually, this is something that already existed, a display logic rule, which would, if you would define it in this way, hide the resource sharing request. If there is full text, would hide those that had a full text in the sense of the other methods of like URL resolvers, etc., but not the linking record. So what is happening now, what will happen from the February release is that if you have this defined, this will include as well the linking record. So those of you that have this defined, this is what's going to happen. This is the change in behavior. Actually, it's what is expected, the two different methods. In terms of the patron, he doesn't really care what method of linking we're doing, but it means that in this case, he actually has the resource available for him. He doesn't need to place a resource sharing request. Okay. If there's an urgent question, because I'm leaving questions to the end, please place it in the Q&A. I'll try to answer it. But if not, again, you'll have the opportunity to ask at the end. Okay, and moving on to staff now, to the staff experience. From this release, you'll be able to assign requests to specific users. This is if you have the privilege to do this. So it's managers that can assign the request, so here there's a new action that will be added under the request, both lending and borrowing. Here I'm in the borrowing, but it's both for lending and borrowing. And you have the assign to, so you can assign the request to a user. So here I'm selecting a user. I'm also choosing to send him an email and add a note to the email. And then I just click assign to, and this particular request will be assigned to a particular user. Once the request is assigned to the user, which I just did, you can see here that this will be very clearly exposed in the task list. So this request, I can see now that this is specifically assigned to Benjamin. When a request is assigned to a user, you'll have two actions. I don't have here a screenshot for that, but you have to there will be now two actions available. One is to unassign. So if the user wants to unassign himself, or a manager can unassign as well, or if he wants to assign it to someone else. So the assign to will still be there, or he can do unassign. And of course, you will be able to facet by this information. So you're actually seeing, I just took a screenshot from the facets panel, and you will be able to facet by user and actually work, for example, only on your request, or see what's unassigned, etc. I do want to stress here something to bear in mind. There are two customer parameters that already existed in your environment. So I just want you to know how they work, and if you need to make any changes, make them. So the first one is, so there's one for borrowing and there's one for lending. They're used to define whether when someone goes into one of the requests and starts working on them, editing and saving the request, will this be automatically assigned to the user. Just a little note here is that the way the system is working by default, and this is something you want to consider, is that the borrowing is by default set not to do this, not to assign to when editing and saving to the particular staff that's working. So this is what it says here. It's disable borrowing auto-assign to true. So it's not doing the assignment, while the lending is actually set to save the assignment. It's so one saves and performs actions on the request. So it means that if you don't want for this to happen, to have this assignment happening, you need to change the default of this parameter to true. I think it makes a little bit of sense, but it's up to your decision. I think that the idea is, as you know, that borrowing, mostly the borrowing side, you never touch. So there's no sense in doing this. Still, of course, this is it's a workflow thing. So you need to decide what is good for you. From the lending side, usually, it's where the work happens. In resource sharing in Rapido is where we see that most of the work is done. So I guess this is why from the beginning, this parameter was set as default to assign the request to the particular user that's working on it. But of course, feel free to change this as you need. Okay. Another great development that we made this with this release. There's a new API that actually can perform from the lending, is for lending, can perform the action shipped digitally. So the story behind this development is that we know that there are many applications, scanners, they're able to do more than the scanning itself. One example that we know from the market is the scanners that are called B-scans. So if they can integrate with us, what they can do is that they can actually do both the scanning of the resource, scanning of the ID of the via the slip of the request number, and performing the action to actually send the resource sharing request to the borrower. And with this, actually closing the whole workflow by performing the scanning. So this API is available. I know there are other applications that do this as well. You can find the documentation in the development documentation and of our APIs. And I think I'm not really sure if this is relevant for Australia, but for North America, for sure is relevant. The idea is that BScan, that it's widely used there. If they actually, we work with them a little bit in the definitions of this development, and we're waiting for them to do their part. But once they do their part, this will swiftly integrate with this particular scanner. But we made this API general so that it could be used for any application that's there and wants to use it. I don't want to go into the details of this one because this is a particular North American resource sharing integration. It's ReShare, but I do want to mention it in the aspect of our work continuing to try to make to open up the resource sharing market and be able to integrate with whatever systems are there, and we will continue to work with any system that wants to work with us, making sure that The integrations exist. Just to give you an example, this ReShare network is used in North America, but what we want to enable our users to do in this case is both to have still the customers, the users of Discovery, place the request to Rapido, and in this particular case, actually having also the borrowing request be pushed and receive back updates from what has happened in the ReShare interface, so that these are communicated back into Rapido and the staff can see them in Rapido. And the end goal is that the staff can decide where they want to work, even if they're part of another different system besides Rapido. In this case, what we're aiming is that the librarians will be able to stay in the Rapido interface in order to manage all of the requests from there. So for me, the story here for you guys is more the story of the ecosystem and the networks, and a lot of effort is given and will continue to be given to enable everyone to work how they want to work and with whomever they want to work. Okay, and we're moving to testing. We've discussed this a lot with our Rapido partners. How can we test different functionalities in Rapido? Testing resource sharing, as you probably all know, is a very complex process, because it's not just testing a functionality inside your institution, but actually it requires testing between two different parties, different institutions, etc. So we have a set of plans for different possibilities of testing. I think that when we'll finish covering all of the different possibilities that we have, then you'll have the whole suite of options for testing completely end-to-end Rapido. What we're releasing and what I want to talk to you today is the usage of the sandbox. So from this release, it's very important. You should know that you can use your sandbox to test functionality in Rapido. I want to make clear what functionality we'll be able to test, so you understand. And as I said, I do want to stress that we're in our very short plans. We're already working on that. Our development team is already working on that to be able to do everything you need to for testing Rapido. So this is the first one, and expect more to come. Okay, so what will be enabled in your sandbox? Okay, so I've made a list of all the things that you can do in your sandbox from the February release. So you can create, use Rapido sets, see how this works. Of course, access borrowing and lending tax lists, see all the little developments, big developments that we do. You can use the facets, multi-select, print, all of those stuff functions. You can access the Rapido configuration. So this means you can test mediation rules, copyright rules, discovery configurations, defining Rapido members, changing stuff there. You can create peer-to-peer partners and testing between sandboxes. That will continue, that you can do. If you're using locally managed pods, of course, you can configure that information. For example, last release, we added options for adding terms, if you know them, for your locally managed pods, so you could test that. Testing all of the functionality related to discovery, seeing how the Rapido tiles work, DLRing, display logic rules, how the request forms, so taking a look at that, and placing and creating borrowing requests. So going to discovery, seeing an offer, placing the request, seeing how that is displayed in the task list. All of this is possible. So what can't you do? This is the big question. Okay, so you can't do an end-to-end Rapido workflow. The borrowing request is going to be created, but it's never going to be sent. So this means that testing is up to creation. Of course, you can cancel, do those actions that you can do from that side, from the borrowing side. And this includes also that field locally action that we released also, I believe, last month. So again, the important thing to know is that this won't enable you to do a complete workflow where you see the request being closed. But as you can see from the green square, there is a lot that you can test. I think that's specifically seeing how things are displayed to your users. All of the mediation rules, copyrights, all of that stuff that's really important. Our future developments that really are very close, and we'll release them very close. One of them is going to enable you to do the whole workflow so you can see it completely end to end. But this from February, I think this is our great news. And together with the upcoming developments, you'll have a complete solution for testing your Rapido. Okay. This is actually a bug, a nice bug, a big bug, I don't know, bug, but I did wanted to bring it to your attention. Usually I don't mention a lot of bugs in my presentation, but in this case, I did want it because this is something that many of you noticed. There was a disparity between the number of requests in the actual set, so in the main window, and the number in the facets or in the Rapido sets. You would see a number, and then if you would go and count the actually number in the task list, there was a slight difference in the numbers, and this has been fixed. I think some of you reported this, so I wanted to bring this to your attention. What I'm going to do now, because I think we're done with this part, is I'm going to, for a second, to stop sharing. And maybe I'm going to see how can I unmute everyone and see if there are questions from your side. Just give me a second to see if I can unmute. Okay, I've actually unmuted you guys. So whoever wants to ask a question or write a question about the February release, you're welcome. We have the time. So I'll give you a second, and while I'll give you. By the way, I think you can also raise your hands, but I'm not really sure about this in this format. But anyways, while I wait for your questions in this release, wanted to mention that, of course, I invite you to go to the release notes because there are many, many more developments in this release. Some are not really relevant to you guys, so I didn't bring them today. Supporting other topologies like fulfillment networks, etc. But do make sure that you go to the release notes, the Knowledge Center, and you check out what's happening there. So any questions on this? Okay. So I'm going to share again. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so I brought you a little topic. I thought it would take us longer and maybe even a discussion. So we're moving to a little question that I thought we should talk about. Actually, many of you that are in this call I saw are already live, so if you've sorted out and you might find yourself here. So what I want to show you today is, so what do we basically, the Rapido most common setup used is that a user is looking for a resource. He doesn't find it on his library catalog, and then he clicks that expand your search link, and he goes into the Rapido world, right? So I wanted to give you a little kind of summary of what I've seen, that how customers configured this link and where to configure it. If I saw many people from Wollongong University here, so there probably will be interested to see this and others, but this is an example of various different ways that I've seen customers change the way this text is set up. And I think this is, I'm mentioning here, even though it's a little thing, but it's kind of the important thing, right? It's the gate to Rapido for many of our institutions. So I wanted to show you different ways of wording this, how this has been changed. So you have here an example of St. Thomas that is live with Rapido, and you have here Bethel also live with Rapido. And you can really see, you know, it was actually very interesting for me to see the different ways that this is Brandeis, that this is configured in terms of text for your users. You can see Ithaca, it's really different. It's amazing to see how it's really different from institution to institution. And just so my little tip here is this can be this is actually this is manageable through this label configuration, and I've put here which specific label. So for those of you that want to know how to change this, this is how you change it. I'll try to bring every time a little tip out, and if we have time, I'll be able to share it with you. I'm going to stop the sharing again. And I think that now really we have the time for you guys to ask questions. So I'm going to, again, unmute you. You can mute yourself. Again, I just don't think you can unmute yourself. So I'm going to unmute you. And if someone wants to ask a question, please feel free. Okay, very quiet today, guys. Listen, I really hope to see you, some of you, whoever's interested in the working group. I really appreciate the work that the community has done together with us, shaping Rapido, and we'll continue to do that for sure. I'll give you 1 more minute for questions, and if not, this is what I had planned for you guys today. So let me see if there's a Q&A. Actually, I'm not seeing the questions.
This is Paul. I just want to thank you for the fix of the linking records. It's big. I know it's big. Thank you, and thanks Oren and the rest. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for speaking up. You're a brave participant today, and this reminds me that I started something and I didn't finish it, so I do want to finish it. Paul, for us and everyone here, for us, that part of the discovery really is at the end the success of the service you're giving to your patrons, and also it will make the efficiencies from the side of the staff. So what I wanted to say, and I started saying there, is that we started from the music scores, and we also did now that linking record, and we'll continue. So what I wanted to say is that, for example, somewhere there in our roadmap, we have other developments that are coming up regarding this fine tuning. This is why I started with fine tuning, because really we need to, I think that what we have now is great. But as much as we can fine tune where a patron can request, where he cannot request, and giving you the ability to decide this, of course. Or for example, the music score example is very important. If we know we have the conference proceedings, I know it was raised by some of you, even this zone of the world and also by North America, but conference proceeding is another example where we need to fine tune. Maybe it will be different than the music scores. It's actually very interesting when you go into this analysis of the different resource sharing resource types and what type of solution you need to give for them. So we are continuing this work, and this is also where we appreciate your feedback and the work that we do together with you to understand. I have to tell you that the music score, for example, was done a lot with the help of the community understanding the fields that were required, etc. And as you can see, I do want to stress this. As you can see, it's not just what form is opening up. Sometimes when you make a change like this one, like the music scores, you saw that we had to change the patron card, and we had to change the way you view this information from the borrowing side, and how is this translated into the lending request without having a protocol that supports that. So I'm giving you the behind the scenes. Sometimes something that seems very simple, why don't you open it up? It's more complex, and of course we want to do it as best as possible. So each decision works a little bit different for each resource type or for each type of decision that we make here, but really focused on fine-tuning that functionality to have you either not get request or get the right request or get the right information, the user being able to place the right information that he's looking for. Again, regarding the assigned to user, make sure you check those both parameters and they're set as you want them to be set. That's also an important thing that I wanted to mention here. For those of you that are part of the development, as I said, this presentation can be later, I don't know at what stage, but be accessed on demand from the Ex Libris website. But I will be posting this presentation in the Basecamp of the partners. So the presentation will be posted there. For others, you'll need to access the recording. Okay, guys, so stay tuned for that user group. And good afternoon. And I hope to see you in the next one. I think they're already there, so please register.
Thanks. See you, Judith.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.